Hello and welcome back to another YouTube video. Hi, I'm Speeder. Okay, welcome back to a Keep It the Movies video. I did not post one last week, and I very much apologize for that. It was kind of a stressful week for school. I had a lot of homework I needed to get done, and I did not have time to film a video, so I apologize for that. But I am very busy with school, so I cannot always have a video made. But I want to make several this weekend when I have less homework. So I'm going to try to get ahead so that if next week is as stressful as last week was, I will not have to make any videos next week. Try to get as ahead as possible so that I can continue with my second term. So I have enough ahead videos to last at least several weeks for Keep the Books, several months for Keep the Games, and I have all of the specials filmed, so yeah. But here we are. I have just finished rewatching Dragon Prince Season 2, Episode 3, Smoke and Mirrors. And I will be doing a review on it. This video will contain spoilers for Season 1 of The Dragon Prince, and at least the first three episodes of Season 2 of The Dragon Prince. I will try to avoid spoilers for later episodes and seasons of The Dragon Prince, because I have seen it before, but this is a spoiler review of The Dragon Prince Season 2, Episode 3. So if you haven't seen one of these review videos, basically, I go over what happens in the episode, and while I'm going over it, I give my general thoughts, and then I'll just have some small explanations of a few small categories, such as the character development in the episode, as well as the story, the humor, and the action. We'll just go over that, and maybe make a few final notes, and that's basically how these Dragon Prince review videos work. But yeah, here we are, back with another one. So I'm not going to make this intro too long, but a few quick announcements. For Keep the Books, I will have a 1 year on YouTube special thing on the day when I started YouTube last year. Even though I don't have that many subscribers, it feels like an accomplishment to me to be doing this for a year, almost consistently. And so I kind of wanted to do something, if not for other people, just for myself. Just kind of feel a little bit accomplished for doing a year on YouTube. And that'll be on November 12th for Keep the Books, and then Keep the Games will be on December 25th, and then I believe this one, Keep the Movies, will be on January 3rd of next year. I think it's the 3rd. I may be wrong on that. It could be the 2nd or the 4th, but it's at least the 2nd, 3rd, or 4th. I think it's the 3rd. I already have those filmed. Basically, the Keep the Books one is a kind of explanation why I call myself Speeder. It was just a question I'd gotten asked by a lot of people, and so I decided to answer it on a channel where I have already done so many book rankings and author rankings, and I've pretty much gone over my favorites of everything I can think of at this exact time. So it wasn't exactly like I could do what I'm doing for the special for Keep the Games and for Keep the Movies. So I just decided to answer that question in that video. For Keep the Games, I go over my favorite video games, and for this channel, Keep the Movies, I go over my favorite TV shows and just a few of my favorite movies. But yeah, that's that. Let's get into the video. Spoilers start now. So we start out this episode with Lord Viren in Katalis, and he's in his creepy, weird dungeon in that one room where he keeps the mirror. And in the last episode, we discovered that he could see another room on the other side of the mirror, but he doesn't know much about it. So here at the beginning, he sits in a chair, looks into the room, and lights a candle to watch. anyways, nothing really much to say on that scene. So then we move on to Callum, where he was at the end of the previous episode, storming away from Rayla after he just got done with his kind of date with Claudia, where she ended up telling him that his stepfather is dead. And so Rayla at this time was about to come tell Callum that... Okay, is this zoomed in? Okay, it was just slightly. Okay, anyways, usually check that before the videos now, but I forgot to today. Anyways, so... I just remembered I had an assignment. I will do that after I finish this video. If you've ever heard of I think it's something Goldberg project, where with dominoes, you knock one domino over if you set up them correctly and they all fall over after it. This is a project, I'm sure most people have seen them, if you've ever been watching YouTube a few years ago. But basically you have objects do the same thing as dominoes. You have cause and effect thing. It's for science. And I forgot about that, and I was gonna remind my friend, and I need to do that too. Anyways, sorry, moving on. So Callum is storming away from Rayla because she failed to tell him that his stepfather was dead, and he didn't understand why, even though she was about to come tell him when Claudia did, which is unfortunate. And when Rayla tries to apologize, he's like, stop, I'm not worried about that right now. I am worried about how I'm going to tell Ezran, which completely makes sense. And as you see, going along to the next part, Callum goes into him and Ezran's room, and he is about to wake up Ezran, and he sees him smiling from some sort of dream that he's had. And so he just sleeps next to Ezran's bedside. And it's a really sad moment, but a really understandable one. Because I don't have a younger sibling. I don't. I'm the youngest. But just to tell someone something that you know is going to hurt them, and they go over this later in the episode, but to try and tell someone that, it's a very difficult thing, and it makes sense why Rayla didn't tell Callum, because she cares about him, and why Callum seems unable to tell Ezran in this moment that their father has died, because Ezran looks so happy, so peaceful, so young and innocent, and he can't bring himself to do it. And that is a really understandable thing, to be unable to tell someone something. Like I said, I'm the youngest sibling. I don't have any younger siblings. I have 6 older siblings, but I have no younger siblings. But I can imagine that to tell a younger sibling that could be very difficult. Yeah. But anyways, after this, we go to Claudia. She goes into her and Soren's kind of place, and she's crying, which makes sense because she just had to tell Callum that his father was dead. And while I don't always agree with Claudia and her methods, I still think that she is a good person overall, because she has been manipulated by her father her entire life. And manipulation is something that's very difficult to get out of. If someone's told you something, the same thing, over and over for your entire life, that's where someone acts a certain way and you're going to copy that way, especially if it's a parent. Neither of my parents are like this. But if your parent acts a certain way, you're gonna want to be like your parent. And Viren has been manipulative, he has been just an awful father, and a really bad example to his kids. And Claudia has fallen very hard into that trap at this point. Not as hard as I think she could have fallen into it, but like, she has this person that she really cares about and she's very good friends with and has known since who knows how long, Callum, and she just had to tell him something really painful, but now she's in here and she's pained, but she's still focusing on this mission that her father sent her on, which is kind of a cool thing. Especially the way that he asked her to do it, because she's supposed to bring home the dragon egg, which is now just the dragon prince, since Ezran was hatched. Ozymandias Zim was hatched. I apparently keep saying wrong names. This is going well. But, like, it was her job to bring Zim back. And it's Soren's job to get rid of the princes, which is just a very big sign that this guy isn't a good person. But just like the way that he asked, he told her, if you have to choose between your brother, Soren, who you care about very much because he's your brother, and the egg, or the dragon prince, choose the egg, or the dragon prince, over your brother. I'm just like, do you give a crap about your son? He's a very manipulative guy. That's all I really have to say there. But yeah. So Claudia comes into this room, she's crying. Soren goes into overprotective older brother. I don't know about that. Overprotective brother mode. I don't know if he's older than her or not. I would have to look that on. I need to look at that. Why have you done this to me? Anyways, let's see. So after this, you get to... So one of two things happens. Either we get to the next morning or we go to Viren. I want to say it's the next morning thing first, but I'm just going to talk about the Viren thing really quick. So after this, Viren wakes up because he's fallen asleep in front of this mirror. And goodness, why are these so foggy? This is why I wasn't wearing these in the beginning of the video, because they were like fogging up like crazy. And I was just like, I can't film this without this, but I need to look at a note that I made for a little bit later. But anyways, I don't like to take notes, I just wrote something down, and yeah. But anyways, okay, that's a little better. Okay, so alright, so Viren wakes up and he notices that a fire is lit in this room that he's in. Well, he's looking, but the room that he is looking into through the mirror. And he is about to sit back down and wait again, but then someone comes into this room, and it is this strange-looking elf with kind of like starry skin and like a starry cloak, who looks really weird, but like very, very strange compared to the other elves that we've met. But really interesting. And so Viren then sits down and watches this scene. I was about to sit down and watch the scene, but then the elf leaves. And then we go to the next morning. I don't remember exactly where all these events going, but I'm going to assume that this next one happens next. So we go to the next morning to Callum and Ezran, and Ezran wakes up, tells Callum about a dream that he had, which was a nice, refreshing, kind of funny moment after a pretty emotional, kind of deep episode at this point. So then Callum takes Ezran out for a little bit of a walk so that they can talk. And of course, the first thing that Ezran says is this that talk about sandwiches? And Ezran's like, Callum's like, no, it's not. Which is a nice callback to the peanut butter thing in season 1, where Callum was having some dream. He said that he was dreaming about peanut butter and sandwiches. Anyways, so after that callback, Callum has this conversation with Ezran, and he says some things that you'll probably want to remember later. He says, I want to talk to you about life, and how sometimes there are changes that you don't expect. Now, this may sound weirdly like a puberty talk. I'm just going to throw it out there. But in truth, these words have extra meaning, and we will get into that later in the season. I won't mention why those words are important specifically at this time, but I will talk about it in a later video when I go over some future episodes. So he tries to talk to Ezran about this, and about how, their father died, but then Ezran thinks he knows what Callum is talking about, and he goes to the fact that everyone is expecting Ezran to teach him how to fly, and how he's really insecure about this, and he wished that he had Dad there to help him, but he doesn't. And this moment tears at my soul. Just a little bit. Not only because he says that he misses his dad and wants his advice, even though he doesn't even know that he's actually gone at this point, but it's also just insecure Ezran is so sad. Because, I think this is one of a few moments that we've had so far, if even the first. I think it's one of the first moments we've had where Ezran, this basically still a kid. I don't even know how old he is, but, I don't even know if he's a teenager at this point. I don't think he is. I think he's probably somewhere around 11 or something like that. I don't know how old he is, but he's pretty young, and you don't really get to see, not to mention the fact that he's a guy, though I love the show because it defeats toxic masculinity, and I love it with Callum especially, and Ezran, them showing emotion, and this moment here was great. Because Ezran really expresses feelings to Callum, and even though Callum wanted to talk to him so badly about something else, he can't bring himself to talk to him about this because Ezran is already going through so much, and I love this. It's great, and this was a really deep episode that I did cry while watching. Every time I watch it, I cry. It's a really deep episode. So, after this, Ezra and Callum hug, and then we go back to Callum going to Rayla. There's somewhere in here, and I'm just going to throw it in at this point. What the frick is this? What on earth? It's like a board. Oh! That's fun. I think I know where this came from. See, does it fit it? Yep. This board must have been attached to like the keyboard thing. And so it fell off. That's interesting. Those nails look sharp. I'm just gonna put that back there. Actually, I'm not. I'm gonna put them back where I found it. Okay. Sorry about that. I get off on tangents often. If you haven't noticed already. I kept not having water in earlier videos, and my throat got really dry. So now I have a nice cold cup of ice water every time. Almost every time. But anyways. Let's see. So, Callum goes to Rayla, and I'm just gonna talk about the scene before I talk about more Viren stuff. Goodness gracious, frick. That's a charging cord. Anyways, so Callum goes to Rayla, and he tells her exactly what I talked about earlier, about him being unable to tell Ezran, and why he figured out that the reason that she couldn't tell him, because he says when you care about someone, it's hard to tell them things that you know hurt them. I don't know if that's his exact words, but it's something along those lines. And Rayla refuses to believe that this was a good thing, and that she was right to not tell him. I mean, technically she wasn't, but like, she refuses to believe that she deserves forgiveness for this, but then Callum's like, look, I get it. You can't tell people that you care about these things very easily. So then they hug, which is great, and I cried. With a combination of the Callum Ezran talk scene and Callum and Rayla talking, it was too much. I am definitely a movie crier. I'm not like a real life crier. I don't really cry that much. I don't cry a lot. I don't cry when I get hurt. Like, ever. I mean, I do when I'm like in extreme pain, but like, I don't cry a lot when I get hurt. Like, physically. But for some reason, I am a gigantic, like, movie crier. It's really weird. But, I don't know. I cried in Infinity War. I cried in Endgame. I mean, who didn't? If you didn't, wow. You are either hadn't watched the previous movies, do not cry at anything, or are heartless. I don't mean the third one, but you know. And frankly, I think crying is a good thing. It's good for your mental health. Cry things out every once in a while. You know. That's why I do not agree with toxic masculinity. I think it's a stupid thing. But anyways, so back to Viren. This strange elf guy comes back into the room. Viren watches as he approaches the mirror, and for a second Viren thinks that he can see him. But then Viren believes after a moment, when the elf kind of like fixes his shirt or robe or whatever, he believes that the other side of the mirror is just a normal mirror. And then we go back to the squad, as I like to call them, even though maybe that's not really the best word for them, but I'm just gonna call them the squad, the gang, whatever. So we go back to the squad, and oh crap! Do not sneeze, please. Anyways, so Callum and Rayla are walking down some steps, still talking, and Callum's like, okay, I understand why you didn't trust Soren now, and Rayla's like, yeah, we have to get out of here. Obviously, they were lying, and Callum's like, no, we can't just leave, because, like, even though Soren did lie, Claudia did not. In fact, she told me the truth, and so we shouldn't just leave them behind. Then Claudia and Soren approached them, hearing the word leave, and Callum was like, yeah, we need to take the Dragon Prince to Xadia. This is extremely important. We need to do this. It has to happen. And after this, Claudia asked to talk to Callum alone, and so he goes with her, and she gives him the letter that Callum's stepfather gave him right before he died, that he dropped in Viren's study place when he was being attacked by Rayla back in the good old days. Let's see. So he gets this letter, and oh yeah, did I mention that Soren tries to talk to Callum again about how his father really misses him, and then Claudia blows up in his face and is like, what the frick are you doing? Stop it. That is not okay, which I respect. That's very true. Not okay. Not okay, Soren. Really not okay. Let's see. So after Claudia gives Callum the letter, we go to Callum, Ezran, and Rayla, and, all them, and they're talking. Callum goes up to Rayla. Rayla's like, let me guess, as soon as I left, Claudia tried to manipulate you, and he's like, actually, no, she was super understanding. So understanding, in fact, that her and Soren want to come with us. Now, Rayla obviously automatically assumes that this is a trap, which is very valid, as it is. But Callum's like, okay, well, how do we prove this? And she's like, I think I may have an idea. So, I apologize if I accidentally leave one or two things out. I'm trying my best not to, but, I may. My memory is not perfect. At least it's not as bad as yours, left-hand bookworm. Not that you watch my videos, but you're welcome. Anyways, sorry, that was an inside joke. Not that she probably even remembers that at this point. Because again, the memory thing. Yeah. You're welcome. Anyways, sorry. So, it's not like don't worry, I'm not making a joke. This person's a good friend of mine, don't worry. We joke about this all the time. No worries. But anyways, let's see. Now that I've gone on that tangent, let's get back into it. Okay, so Rayla goes to Jane, the Moon Lady, and asks for her help. And so, and did I mention the great moment where Zim refuses to go into Ezran's bag? So Jane comes up to Soren and Claudia to supposedly wish them goodbye, and she does this little clever thing where she puts the moon necklace thing back around Ava's neck, and it kind of glows, and you wonder, you don't really think of anything of it until later on in the episode. And then Callum and Ezran come to them with Zim, and they all begin walking down the hill. So, let's see. Soren and Claudia are talking behind them. Soren says that the signal to go capture the princes is when he goes and attacks the elf, aka Rayla. So Rayla goes behind this wall of this cliff kind of thing, and she says that she's going to go look for berries, but obviously we all know that she's lying about this. So Soren goes after her, which is the signal. So after he starts attacking Rayla, Claudia goes and captures Callum and Ezran and Zim. And so once they're all captured, she starts talking to Callum because, well, she feels a little guilty. You kind of see it in her face. But then she realizes that he's not talking and his face is expressionless, and when she moves her hand in front of his face, his eyes don't blink. Nothing happens, and she realizes that him and Ezran are illusions. And so Soren is still fighting Rayla, and then the real Callum and Ezran and Bait and Zim all fly out of the sky on Fifi, and they pick up Rayla, and they begin flying off, but Claudia's not having this, so she uses dark magic to spring out this, gigantic, octopus tentacle kind of thing, which then wraps around Fifi's leg, starts pulling all of them down, and then something unexpected happens. Corvus attacks Claudia and stops her from capturing the princes, which is great, and I love Corvus. There we go. Oh, that's gracious. No! Sorry, wrong pipe. There we go. Okay, so Corvus saves them and is knocked out by Soren. And then they get away, the princes and Rayla and, the whole squad. And Rayla climbs onto Fifi's back, and Callum is obviously very upset about the fact that his two oldest friends have betrayed him, which is very understandable. Now 3 things happen in this span of time. One, I'll go over first, which is what happens with the squad. So they're flying away, and Rayla is comforting Callum and showing him the kind of miracle that they have Zim, as Ezran holds Zim above his head and gives him kind of a simulation again of flying. And while this is happening, Corvus has come to, explains that he was protecting the princes when he attacked Claudia, and Ezran and Claudia disagree with this. Soren calls him a traitor, and that happens. And then with Viren, which is pretty much the end of the episode, if I remember correctly, he is still looking at the mirror, and this elf guy comes back, and this time he puts out all the lights and approaches the mirror to end the episode, kind of proving that he can, in fact, see Viren through the mirror. It's the same as Viren can, in near to complete darkness at first. But anyways, that's that. This was kind of my review of what happened, so let me just go over those little subsections and my overall thoughts on the episode. Action was okay. There wasn't a lot of action in this one. It was more of an emotional one. The story was great. I loved all the emotions. Like I said, it did make me cry, which, again, isn't terribly difficult to do, but it is at least difficult enough that you know that this episode has some very powerful moments, and it was great. Character development was good, great in fact. You would see Callum and Rayla connecting more, and while Soren didn't have a lot of character development in this one, I feel Claudia did develop a little bit, though I feel she developed a little bit more in the previous episode. We also had, again, on the story's terms, we have more stuff with this mysterious elf. We had the introduction of this mysterious elf in this mysterious room that we discovered in the previous episode, and more stuff with Viren. So it's some great story, great character development, one alright action scene, and it had a few great humorous moments, which was good. I really liked the episode. It is probably one of my favorites in season 2, honestly. Other than this one, I liked the previous episode, and then there are probably 1 or 2, maybe 3 other episodes later in the season that I really like. But yeah, this was my review of The Dragon Prince Season 2, Episode 3, Smoke and Mirrors. I hope you enjoyed it. I will be posting this tomorrow, as today is, I think, the 5th of November. So yeah, that's all I have for today. I will see you guys next time. Bye.